KX5. Uh, you can get a different variety of. Um, I don't know. Citizen really got a lot of stuff in that 250 range.
Yeah, you can get like Citizen, Fossil. Um, some of the designer watch brands are in that range. I'm trying to think like what you would get at the mall, right? Because that's where you would probably get a lot of the $200 and under type of watches. And of course, there's Amazon, so you could get like Timex, Casio, some of those, and those are all really established brands. I mean, they're fantastic.
Now, see, like one of the most overhyped watches I would say for that $200 price range would be the G Shocks. Um, they're a very durable watch. I get that, but I don't like them. Like
Yeah,
the
they're
way
not
they
my
don't,
style
they're not
either.
comfortable.
As you probably can tell, like looking at the website, like I'm not really a big fan of the G Shock style, but I respect what they've done. I mean, I know that they're huge in the military for obvious reasons, so it's hard to knock them for that. But yeah, not really my thing either.
Yeah, no, and basically, like, but what kicked this little conversation off was we were discussing the La Terrain Subnautica. Uh, with the Subnautica, you know, it checks so many of the right boxes. With the clasp being milled, and what I'm saying, the nice end links where it fits the case so well. Is that like a twisted lug design?
A little bit, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking at it, he was, most watches that the end link fits right up there. Hey, what's up, Mr. Joe? Uh, it fits, to the case real well, and like that one, it actually sits just recessed a little bit, um, which I thought was nice. It was kind of different, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You can see how that the big bracelet kind of extends
Yeah,
out.
there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can just see how it dips under the bezel a little bit, where like most stuff comes up more flush
hmm
to the lugs and the bezel. It's kind of more like that, like an Omega type deal where they twist it.
yeah. There's definitely some speedy in there. Hello, hello everybody.
You know, yeah. Appreciate y'all showing up, Mr. Dean and Joe and Andrew. Andrew, shit, what's up? Andrew's from Scotland.
Hey Andrew.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm glad that you're actually up and about. How's the shoulder doing there, Mr. Andrew? Sorry, I've never actually been able to like put everybody's comments up on the screen. It'll actually help because a lot of times I'm responding to people and whatnot, and like if you're not looking over there, you don't have any idea what's going on.
Hey Clayton, how you doing?
Yeah. So, oh man.
It's good to see Clayton here. He's one of our best customers at La Terrain by
Oh,
far.
okay. What's
Yeah,
happening, sir?
great guy.
Glad that you came along to check out the show. Um, so other than the Subnautica, I know you have a few other models. What other kind of watches do you have?
Well, thanks for asking. It's kind of funny that that one's gotten a lot of the coverage lately. I mean, it's a great watch. We offer it in a lot of different models and dial colors, but one of the ones that we just released that just came out, Watch Addiction, I want to say 2 nights ago, is the new Seafarer. And this one's a little kind of maybe with all the reflection a little harder to see, but this one is our biggest dive watch that we offer. Um, it is a 43 millimeter watch case that can do 200 meters water resistance, and big fan of this one. Dome sapphire exhibition case back with a custom NH35 rotor, um, butterfly bezel, tapered bracelet. This one is currently what I've been wearing the most this past week, and
Gotcha.
just because I know you like bezel clicks, and that's the back play. So this one we're real happy with. Also, I got the we have our GMT, and the GMT comes in multiple bezels and colorways. So I just gravitated towards the silver with blue bezel for this one. But our GMT uses the NH34 movement with a custom rotor on it. Very similar in size at a 42 mil. And this one's been worn quite a bit too. So holds up nicely.
I can tell you now, both of those are up my alley with that whole blue bezel.
Yeah.
I think they're definitely my kind of watches.
They I mean, I probably wear those two the most, honestly. Subnautica, I definitely find time for, but those two are probably the ones on my wrist more because I like a little bit of a bigger watch. And the Subnautica is right around like a 3940. These are all a little bit bigger than that, so I tend to wear that one more often. And then something that just came out this past week, we were able to restock, was our new Maritimer. This is our Submariner homage. What's nice about this version of it is that we went and applied the new clasp to it.
Yeah.
With the 6-position micro adjust. Gotcha. And we didn't increase the price at all. So this is still, our entry level diver, 200 meters of water resistance, Submariner homage, sapphire crystal, everything you need in a quartz diver for $99. So we're pretty proud of that one. And to take a look at what the old clasp looked like, it was this.
Yeah. So I saw that in the pictures. Yeah.
So we made some improvements, to say the least, on this version.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And I mean that's really the thing. Like, I know once upon a time that paper thin stamped clasp was the standard or whatever, but yeah, man, just nowadays, as we were talking earlier with the stuff that they offer on the different tiers of AliExpress, different watches and whatnot. I mean, the milled clasp has so become standard on so many watches. Is like, if you don't have that, you're just behind the times.
Yeah, I think it's one of the ways that you can also show value at the price point that we sell our watches at, right? Like for $100, $200 to have that is something that I think still gives you a little bit of value to the watch versus the pressed or stamped steel, for sure.
I hear that. Hang on one second. My dog is being a pain. He is making a lot of racket. Did you decide to come back in here?
I'm sure we'll be hearing my dog barking at some point during this.
Well, I did not realize my girlfriend just finally got up out of bed and whatnot. So she just let all 4 of them loose, and they all just come charging towards the door. So yeah, I don't need that many guest stars here on the show today. So, I hear you, Scooby Doo. He just gets upset. Like I said.
What are your dogs' names?
Well, there's Scooby, Luke, Leia, and Missy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well,
Leia after Star Wars.
Yeah, Luke and Leia are actually fraternal brother and sister, and they're both Brendel. Nice. So they look like twins. And when we went over to the guy's house to pick them out of the litter or whatever, they were, I don't know. The guy was like, "Well, if you want to go name them, we'll, start calling them those names while we finish weaning them off their mom and whatnot." So I've been watching the Star Wars movies that night.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that popped in my head. It was Luke and Leia, and I was like, well, I guess we could call them like Bo and Daisy, but I mean that didn't really make no sense either. You know what I mean? So
hey, Elliot, good to see you. So Elliot is the person who has been a tremendous help to me, personally and professionally, with taking watches that come in that they fail the timeographer, or
Gotcha.
dial has an issue, or there's an issue with the crystal or anything. I send them to Elliot, and he's the one who's behind the scenes working on it, making sure everything's good, regulating it, assembling it. And so with the watches have a higher quality level for customers. really important to have him associated with us, and I'm very grateful for it. So thank you, Elliot, for joining.
Is that modded time there?
Yep.
All right. What's happening, Mr. Elliott? Yeah, Mr. Andrew. I actually met Dave over on Instagram and everything, and then like I said, a couple of mutual friends, got me kind of involved in some stuff and whatnot, and then we had to get that shit started out. And Andrew, if you ain't seen the video yet, please go over and check out the Subnautica video. After the live show, obviously. But Mr. Mike, what's happening, buddy? Thank you for showing up. I can't hear for long, but for a second. All right, no, it's cool, Mr. Modern Time. I'm pretty sure I've actually subscribed to your channel. If not, I'll make sure I do so after the show. Let's see. Yep, there we go. Yeah, no, I mean, when you're doing the watches and everything like that, and you're having to have things manufactured overseas. You know what I'm saying? Do you just put your trust in the guy that you bought the stuff from, or do you double check the work? And I mean, especially I think one of the things that we pointed out in that video was there are very significant differences between the Addis Dive that Addis Dive offers and your offering, which is very upgraded, much different in overall quality, what you're getting for the money. And then, you add on top of when you have a warranty problem, you guys handle it yourselves. You don't deal with trying to send it back to Addis. You just handle it, fix it, replace the module or movement, whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So, one of the things that we've done is, well, two things. Sourcing the watches, we want to go with reputable manufacturers. So that really limits you to some of the larger names that are out there. And as part of that, we want to make sure that the factories are like ISO certified. They're not just, a hut somewhere. Like, we want to make sure they're professional grade facilities that ensure that there's a level of quality that we would expect for our customers. And then on top of it, you're right. If there is anything that comes in that is not up to our quality standards, Elliot gets it. Elliot fixes it here in the United States and Virginia. And then we have that ready to go for customers, as well as our warranty is also longer than anyone from that overseas area. And the reason for that is because, well, two things. Number one, we build them at a higher standard because I'm paying for that. And then number two, we have Elliot to help support us to ensure that these things are regulated, they're assembled correctly, and that they do go under some level of quality control. Plus, any watch that we send out, I'm here testing to make sure on the time grapher that it's actually accurate, which is an extra step that we throw in. Despite the fact that I've paid for regulation, not all of them come in as regulated as we would like. So those are the ones that then get funneled off. So Elliot can work on them to get them regulated, and then we have them ready for customers.
I hear that. Looks like Mr. Aracos would like to know, what was your first watch to get you into watches?
Oh, man.
Well, Mike, is that for me or Dave? I mean, it doesn't matter. We can both answer it. Go ahead, Dave. You go first.
Sure. I really wish I brought that one downstairs. I'm so sorry. And when I was 14 years old, I was working at a grocery store pushing carts in the parking lot. And I saved up and I went to Sam's Club, and I got myself a Victorinox titanium watch, quartz watch. It's like a diver. I still have it. I think I have a photo on the website of it. And it was like $65, I want to say. And this was like the early 90s. And I still have that watch today.
Gotcha. Myself personally, my very first watch, Mike, was a Swatch watch way back in the 80s. All clear deal. It had the little protective deal that went across the crystal and all that kind of jazz, and the different color jelly bracelet type deals where you could swap it out. So
nice.
I would have to say that was my first like real watch. I don't know. When I was little, I was always trying to be bigger and grown up and whatnot. And I'm talking about like little, like 4 or 5 years old. Like I had a watch where you had it on the last strap, and they had to punch an actual extra hole to get it just to kind of not fall off my hand, kind of
Yep.
deal. So
Yep.
yeah. Um, Hang on a second. Mr. John Remy, no, there's not a watch giveaway today. At least I wasn't planning on giving away anything, you know.
What watch do you want, John? We can figure something out.
There you go. Let's see. But let's see. All right, so we already took care of Mike. Let's see. What's John saying? My first watch is a Mickey Mouse watch. And I still have it, never worn.
Those
Well
are fun.
then, John, what the hell are you talking about? You want a watch giveaway? We'll give you away a watch that you're never going to wear. I mean, come on, man. I'm just saying.
G-Shock's a great first watch, Clayton, and I wish I had an 1893 to give you, man. So 1893 is reference to when my great grandparents first came to America aboard the SS La Touraine, and so I wanted the like flagship, best built watches to carry the 1893 collection tagline. So the first watch we released for that was the Voyager 1893, and we released that in 2020. Unfortunately, because of how expensive it is to make that watch, I could only do 10. And when I came back to try to do it again the last few years, they kept raising the minimum order quantity on me. So now I have to buy like 50 of them. And those are not cheap watches. So I have to unfortunately, keep pushing back the timeline on that because they keep making it more and more expensive for me to do another one. It's unfortunate that I still haven't been able to do it, but I know Clayton is going to get the first one when we are able to.
Wow, I hear that.
Yeah, all right. The realities of this whole thing, man. It's like you're beholden to what the manufacturer's minimums are, and while you can negotiate a little bit, you're not going to get like crazy pricing when you're not buying thousands of these things.
And that's the thing that they don't like. There's the start, or like here's the price of one. You know what I mean? And like, okay, cool. Let me get 10 or 20. Cool. We'll knock off like a nickel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like they do not. There's no huge. All of a sudden, it drops like $50 a watch.
Well, what's so funny is like
they're like, no, dude. Okay, cool. We'll do whatever you want. That's $10 for this, $50 for that, $20 for this, and I mean, yeah. But
so true.
John says he's a diesel mechanic, only wears watches on Sundays. So, what watch could we give John that would be able to take an ass whooping Monday through Saturday?
I mean, anything with a sapphire crystal and stainless steel. So the majority of the collection, honestly, that's what I would say.
Okay, well, John, you didn't answer the man. He asked you what would you like. You know, so John, if you're still here, Mr. Remy, you know, answer the man. You know what I'm saying? Because we weren't planning on doing that. Jody, I appreciate it. Yeah, you know, actually, he's not lying because I wore my Rolex yesterday to go get it appraised, and I wound up stopping at my buddy's house, and he had a truck that's been fucking up and doing all kind of crazy stuff. At any rate, I just got done telling them, yeah, the watch just got appraised for 13,000, which, you know, I got it at Phoenix for 8,500. So I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
But at any rate, it was just funny. You know, I was up there and I didn't even think about it. Like I started working on shit and fixing stuff, and they were like, "I can't believe you're up there with that watch on." I'm like, "Oh shit!" Yep. And the worst part is, I got a little fucking mark right on the bottom of it, but it is what it is. I buy shit to wear it, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly right. Like all mine have scratches on them. I used to work on my cars wearing, you know, my nicer watch, and it is what it is.
Well, you know, like that's one of the things about the affordable watches. You know, anything under like the $300 range to me, I feel is just, you know, that's affordable and it's able to.
Well, I can't help you with that one, man. Sorry.
Yeah, John. I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
Hey,
Thanks for giving me
that's a good
time.
collector's watch.
Well, look, John. Look, I've already asked Dave if because when I first saw the name of the watch company, La Touraine, I thought it said La Tourette. So I was like, oh, cool! It's a watch company just made for me. That's perfect. As much as I cuss, that's awesome. So I was slightly disappointed when I learned. I went back and I was like, oh fuck, man, that's not what I thought it said. But have you ever seen? Are you a South Park fan at all?
Yeah, I haven't watched it in many years, but definitely a fan.
Have you ever seen the Tourette's episode where Cartman gets Tourette's and he goes on the show with Chris Hansen?
No, not the one with Chris Hansen. No, I mean Cartman has to get bleeped out a lot anyway. So,
Oh my god, yeah. Well, do yourself a favor, go and watch that episode and whatnot because
all
he
right.
starts off faking that he has Tourette's. Like he learns that Tourette's exists, and he's like, you can just say basically whatever you want, and he's going up to people saying just horrendous shit. At any rate, he kind of loses control and starts just getting Tourette's bad.
Oh
You
no.
know, just naturally, and like he's saying some really wild shit. So like that was where I was telling you, I was like, man, if we get a watch that yells titty sprinkles, in like Cartman's voice, that would just make money. Every time it like hit the hour, like titty sprinkles.
And try to work with what was it Parker and Stone on that one. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I could see that being a thing. Like, you could have like just Cartman's big fat face for the watch.
I think I come up with a new brand name for that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Look, you can use the La Tourette. It's fine. I won't stand in the way.
Oh man, that'd be a funny brand. You get away with a
Well, I
lot.
mean, it just. I think there's a market. That's all I'm saying. I really do. I think there's at least a market. I mean, my man's asking for a Debbie Does Dallas style. So, not speaking of that. Since you're down there in Charlotte, have you ever thought about like trying to maybe reach out and talk to like Ric Flair since he's such a big watch guy?
I haven't, no. So Ric Flair and Charlotte. Let's see. Last I heard, and I don't know if this has been cleared up or not, but last I heard, he was kind of on the run from North Carolina for not paying taxes. I don't know if he is back yet. I don't know if he paid them or not. But yeah, he was all around Charlotte for a very long time, and then he just kind of disappeared about 10 years ago because of that. I don't know if he's cleared that up. I'm not trying to defame the man, but I don't know if he's around anymore in Charlotte. So Jody, how long have I been making watches? We started in 2018. November 28th, 2018 was when the website went live and we started to sell watches.
I hear that. So there's what, like 5, 6 years? I mean, how many different models have you had in that time frame? Just
Oh
7 or 8
boy.
or what?
So back in 2018, I was just seeing if this was even something that I could do. So I started off with like your basic like MVMT style watches. Some of them are actually still worn today by my original customers, which is amazing to me. But then, I couldn't sleep at night. So I had to just keep making the watches better and better and better ever since then. And, I feel like we started to really hit the stride around 21, 22 with the watches that we were starting to come out from at that point. But prior to that, I mean, we were slowly just building a business and trying to understand what it would take.
Gotcha. Well, with the whole COVID thing and whatnot, how bad did that mess up the supply line for you?
It was a weird time because it's, I feel like in business, there's always things that you can make excuses about. So 2018, 2019, we were just getting started. So sales weren't that big. 2020, it's the pandemic, and COVID hurting supply lines. And we ran into some issues with inventory, but it wasn't anything too crazy because the business just wasn't selling that many watches anyway. 21, 22, oh, it's the economy. 23, it's the economy. But all throughout all those years, we've been growing year over year pretty substantially. So, yeah, I don't know if COVID necessarily hurt us so much as it kind of aligned with where we were from a growth perspective. Like we weren't selling a watch every day, so it didn't really matter overall. We still did okay.
Gotcha. Well, you were saying earlier, you're just a man in a
Yeah,
computer in a closet.
yeah.
You
Here's
know,
La Touraine, guys. That's
there you
it.
go. You got everything.
I have some inventory in the garage as well, but that's it. So when we see, I see some of the reviews online when I get to talk to people like Mr. Ed. I mean, it's been really a fun experience for me because it's not like as if I say anything special. There's no magic here. It's really just trying to do the right thing. Let's see, how many watches do I have, Clayton? Oh boy, I'm embarrassed to even answer that question, man, because I'm not counting my inventory, obviously, but I would venture a guess of like 4 to 5 dozen watches over the years, which is how I kind of like got into it, how I kind of managed to do it and saw like what didn't work, what worked. I have a lot of watches in the $200, $300 price range when I got them. They haven't held up well. Do I
Hence why
number
you
them?
kind of wanted to start your own little deal and see if you can do a little better job than everybody else.
I mean, that's kind of part of it for sure. Is like when you get, I mean, honestly, I think what woke me up was seeing the MVMT stuff and just how poor it was for $100. And then that's where the light went on. Like, oh, I can do better than this. So, do you number them 1 out of 100? I haven't had a numbered watch yet. That is not cheap to do from a manufacturing perspective. However, I have had requests to do it, so it's something that I'm going to probably do for a future watch, maybe the 1893. But yeah, on the scale that I build watches, it's not financially feasible just yet. We need to let's see. Have you been to the factory? I have not been to the factory now. Everything has been done through mock-ups, text messages, and a hope and a prayer.
There you go.
Thank you, John. I have looked at watch winders. Part of the reason I haven't done it is because one, didn't really know how many people would buy it from me. Two, how I would be able to improve over something that's already on the market at the same price, right? But it's something that I'm always looking at to expand so that people can just go to one brand for everything they need.
I appreciate it, Underachiever. It feels much better, Serge. And the long hair was getting old. I was very happy to get it off of my head. Well, because like I had really long hair in my 20s, but like in my 20s, it was shaved up underneath, so it was only like long hair really on the top. So it wasn't that bad, but like I got it caught in a creeper one day and I had to get fucking drug out by like 5 or 6 other dudes and had to scream for help like a little girl. And that just didn't, no.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, as you can see, it's starting to recede back a little bit up here in the corners. I was like, you know what? Let me grow it out before, it's too late and I can't grow it out again. So I started letting it grow, and then someone was like, "Oh, you can donate your hair," and I'm like, "Oh, I think that's such a good cause." And then I, started letting it really grow, and I was like, "Okay, I'm ready." And they're like, "It's not long enough. It's got to be at least 12 inches." I'm like, "Fuck, man, really? 12?" They're like, "Well, we'd really rather have 14." I'm like, 14 inches?" I'm like, damn, y'all just like, y'all want a little bit,
they're
little bit
taking everything
extra,
off. Yeah.
I was like, typical women. I was like, y'all just, 6 inches is not enough. I need 12 to 14. So y'all are killing me.
Yeah.
At any rate, So much happier now. It's much cooler. So what did Modded Time say there?
You have a few words with me if I got winders, so I think that's his way of saying absolutely not.
So okay, Modded Time, since you're a watch repair guy, jump in here. Because like me as an auto mechanic, I don't really see where the winder is such a bad thing. Especially if you got like a really pain in the dick watch to set, like it's got just ridiculous things as a pain in the ass. then yeah, totally use a winder. And I mean, for me, because I have like you, I've got like 40 something watches. I like to switch out and whatnot, and sometimes I don't feel like having to sit there and wind and fiddle with
Mhm.
and do and whatnot. So it sucks because like for me, quartz are okay, but I really lean hard toward everything mechanical.
Yeah, same here.
So it's I don't know, but I would like to hear what he's got to say on why don't you like the winders, man? Like what's so wrong with them running? Like how different is that from you wearing the watch to it sitting on this thing?
So, John, thank you for probably ordering a watch. I appreciate that. What I can throw in right now, uh, let's see, throw a pen or company logo in the order. What do I have with logos on it right now? I could probably throw in an extra couple straps for you if you'd like, depending on the watch you get. I Clayton mentioned coffee. Unfortunately, I'm sold out of the coffee. I got to do another order of that. But yeah, every watch that I sell will come with a 3-ounce bag of coffee from our coffee brand, Bezel Coffee. I was going to launch that harder this year, and instead I've kind of pulled back on that, but I will have something soon. And Jody, do I have a day job? Absolutely. I have a great day job, and that is what drives everything I've been able to accomplish so far with La Touraine. It's not a viable source of income yet. No, it's just been slowly growing, but by no means is it going to replace my day to day.
All right, so you're saying it's just putting wear and tear on the watch for it not actually being worn. So would you like? And again, I had a winder that I could put two in there and whatnot, but it was a cheap, shitty winder, and just my buddy over in the UK just sent me a winder, and I was actually excited. I was getting ready to start using it, so that's why I'm really kind of interested to see somebody who actually really knows about the movements and what it does to them. Let's see. Are most of your sales in the U.S. or do you have sales worldwide?
So most of our sales are in the U.S. It's just easier from a shipping perspective. We don't have customs, you don't have VAT, you don't have all the different taxes and duty fees that way. Because unfortunately, outside the U.S., those things can get applied, and the affordability of our watches becomes unaffordable for a lot of people. So majority of sales are in the U.S. where we have free shipping, and it's just easy. But with that said, we do have actually quite a few customers in Canada and United Kingdom. I've sold to Spain, France, Germany. Even had someone from Algeria want to buy a watch. And the sad truth of that one was that shipped it international and priority and everything, and it got stolen at one of their post offices. So that was a sad story for that gentleman. But we do ship worldwide, but majority customers will buy in the U.S. due to the pricing.
I got you. Now, when you ship worldwide, they're responsible for the VAT tax and stuff like that once it gets there, right?
Yeah, and there's some countries. I just found out this actually about 2 weeks ago. We had a gentleman in Romania that wanted to buy a watch. He wanted to buy one of the new Seafarers. And in Romania, the shipper is responsible, the seller is responsible for paying some of the taxes and duties, which I had no problem with. We just were going to work it so that he wasn't going to apply the 25% discount so I can make some money on it. And he was fine about it, but then he also got hit with VAT, and he also got hit with some other tax. And it ended up turning the Seafarer from like a $225 watch after discount to like $450.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, you can't do that. Like I was actually talking him out of buying my watch because I was like, for $450, that's steep.
Yeah.
So he was going to save up his money to do it, and that would cut him a deal. But yeah, it's difficult overseas because of all the taxes and shipping costs.
And that's what's crazy because like I know where you're trying to come from on that, but you got to stop and think. Imagine what the VAT is for our $450 watch for him.
Yeah.
So you get what I'm saying? Like for him in his situation, it's like he just kind of got to bite the bullet and pay the 450 and be happy because like that's what it is. because the bet on that
Yeah,
450
true.
watch would be out of control. But
Mm-hmm.
Modern Time, thank you for that answer. That does make a lot of sense, especially if you can see and tell. Then I understand from a mechanical standpoint. There's a certain shit that you see it over and over, and you're like, "Do you have one of these?" And everybody's like, "Yes," and then you already know, yeah. So I get that. I can respect that. Keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Let's
Elliot
see.
hasn't steered me wrong yet. Really glad to have him helping us out.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get caught up here on the comments.
No worries.
Let's see. Time.
I don't personally use a watch winder at all, and I have so the two most valued watches in my collection, outside of course, my business. I have a 2014 Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean with the 8500 series. And that movement, they wanted you to service it every 5 years. And I let it lapse to, I think it was 7 or 8. And they had to go in there and they had to replace a lot of stuff because the oil had dried up by then. But it was, 4 seconds a day. It was still working when I sent it in. And that had never lived on a winder, but it made it about 7, 8 years. And then the newest one I have is the 3861 Speedmaster, and we'll see how long that one lasts. Omega changed their service interval on that to 8 years. I'm curious to see if it lasts 8 years, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, the only watches that I own that that are even considered serviceable would be my Junos that have the SW200s, and like that one's semi questionable because you can buy a new 200 for $200.
Yeah.
So it's like you spend the 200 for them to take it apart and clean this one, or just fucking put a new one in it. But either way, it's just super high quality watch, and of course the one on my wrist, like this is the only other one that I would really consider getting serviced.
Yeah.
All the rest of them, like the movements are so cheap, it's like nope, just put a new movement in it and keep it moving. Which
that's totally.
Well, it's just so crazy. Like I don't understand how they can build these movements and sell them for so cheap when to take it apart, clean it, and put it back together would cost you like $250, $300.
That's a really good point. And it's, I think, one of the advantages to using the NH35 so much like we have been, is that we have the ability to regulate it. We have the ability to repair it. And we also have the ability just to replace it. And from a cost perspective, replacement makes a lot of sense. And I think it really helps in terms of, keeping watches affordable.
Yeah. And that's really one of the things I'll say. Mr. Jody, he's been looking at the Omegas hard here lately.
They're my personal favorite. I like the technology that they really seem to push the envelope with tech, and it's not that the other brands don't. I think they just have a marketing department that's focused on that aspect of their watches. I have a 3861 Speedmaster Professional with sapphire sandwich because I just wanted to be able to look at the movement. And frankly, it had. I mean, I sell watches for this business of mine. I love what I do, but the Speedy is by far the most comfortable watch I've ever worn with that new bracelet that they have in the 3861.
Yeah, I would say Jody asked again. I'm sure you just mentioned it, but which Speedy did you get?
Oh, it's the new 3861 movement. It's the Speedmaster Professional with sapphire sandwich. I bought that last December. So I bought my first Omega when I was 33. And then I bought my second Omega when I just last year. So, there's like a 9-year difference between the two. And I think that's probably going to be my last one. I want to have just a few to hand down to my son.
Gotcha. Well, and see, to me, Omega, like I was telling Joe the other day, if I were going to go Omega, I would go with the Speedmaster, just because I really don't like their divers. Joe's got the diver. I think he's got the 300, and I don't like the warp on the top. You know what I'm saying? The helium escape valve and
Yeah,
whatnot.
escape
But
valve. Yeah.
it's I don't know. For me, I have like smaller wrists because it's a 7 mil wrist, or not
Mhm.
7 mil, but 7 inch wrist. So anything over 41, 42 starts depending on how it's shaped looks funky on my wrist.
Yeah.
Because when I originally got into watches, you know, I wanted a Rolex because that was the only name I knew. I never heard of Omega or anything else. I mean, I heard of Timex and Citizen, but I had not really looked into or did any research or anything like that. Um, but at any rate, I went in, I saw some Rolexes. I was like, ooh, I like the way those look. Like certain ones, like the divers and the GMT specifically. Um, at any rate, it was just one of them deals where I realized how unattainable the Rolex was going to be
Yeah.
and what was a good, on the same level option. And of course, the name Omega came out, and I'm like, okay, let me go down check those out. And there was things I liked about it, but it wasn't Rolex enough for me.
No, it's
I don't know
completely
if that
fair.
makes sense,
I
but
think I think in terms of the hierarchy, Rolex is still higher than Omega. Um, you just look at the investment aspect of it. Like you're not going to get a Speedmaster gaining value and appreciation like you would with a Rolex Daytona. So yeah, there's definitely pluses and minuses. I think the nice thing about Omega is that you can just walk into a boutique and buy one. You don't have to be best friends with your AD. You don't have to wait months on a waiting list. You don't have to pay over sticker when the market's good. But with that said, I mean, there's a reason for it. I mean, people Rolex is synonymous with luxury watches.
yeah, and like, well, that was the whole thing. Because okay, for me, 2 years ago when I finally was like, oh, I'm gonna get into watches, I'm gonna go buy me a watch. I did not fully realize exactly how expensive they were, but like I'd seen Antiques Roadshow, and I'm like, hell yeah, these guys bought watches back in the '70s for like $300, and they're worth like
Yeah,
50 grand now. I want some shit like that,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
It's an
Uh,
investment grade piece if you get the right one for sure.
well, and see, well that was the thing. Like I didn't understand, that hierarchy and like how Omega was number two, but it didn't do the same thing, and because
Mhm.
like I was fully thinking about it, and then when I went in, I'm like, what do these sell, for used? And like you just said, the whole availability, the fact that anybody can go in and get one at any time, I was like, oh, damn it. And like for me, if I'm going to spend $9,000, $10,000, I kind of need the $9,000, $10,000 back. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely think that from an investment perspective, Rolex just. I mean, there's obviously brands that are more luxurious than Rolex, like Patek and AP and all of those brands that are out there in the six-figure club. But it's hard to beat a Rolex for that brand cachet and being able to hand it down.
well, and see, that's where it does actually get rough because justifying it, like
Yeah.
this thing's pretty and all, but I got a fucking San Martin that cost me $250, man, and I'm telling you, it's not that fucking far off.
No.
It's
No.
really
Hmm.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's,
Nice
you
to meet you,
know,
Jody. Thanks for joining.
thanks, Joe. Appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think that that's the biggest thing with China is that you have these super clones now that like they're pretty close. I mean, I think the biggest thing is like when you open it out up the back of them and you see like all the dirt and the dust and the movements and like how gritty it is. You see
Yeah.
the bezel action quite it just isn't quite there, and of course some of the finishing is off. But they're getting close, and I think when bringing it back to affordable watches, that's great for us. That they have that talent to be able to deliver at that level. When you bring it down to a $200 price point, that's pretty phenomenal.
Oh yeah, man. And that's it's absolutely insane. And again, just kind of circling back to what we was talking about earlier. I mean, the difference in price that your watches versus the Addis Dive. I mean, the Addis Dive, when we did the review and all that, again, it was nothing pre-set up or whatever. Like y'all saw me bust open the boxes. That Addis Dive ran like shit. I mean, his beat error was crazy off, like really, really off.
I was surprised
Um,
by that myself, actually.
yeah, well, it just like as long as your watches aren't coming in like that. I mean, obviously you're getting a little bit for your money, but
Yeah,
um,
they're
you
not going to be
know,
like that.
like when I did my custom watches, in order to just to change the lume on the dial in the hands, it was going to cost me over $1,000. You know what I'm saying? And you're talking about like a little batch of 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge increase. It was I had to buy 100 dials, even though I'm only building 10 watches.
Yep.
I was going to sit on 90 dials for watches that I'm not building yet. So
It's
that's
so
insane.
true. It's so true. Like I don't think a lot of people really understand that. They say, "Oh, you're just slapping a logo on something." It's like, well, no, there's a lot more that goes into it than that. But on top of it, like, say you do want to slap a logo on just something and do nothing else, you're still paying a premium to get that made. Like, you're still paying more than what someone who's just shopping on AliExpress would buy one watch for, because you're having to buy a lot of them. So I think it's really a lack of understanding by people. I also think people just have a predisposition to thinking that they're getting ripped off for whatever reason. Um, and it's just not true. Like if you were to look at the total cost of the inventory, you look at the total cost of the changes versus pricing and versus what you're getting. There's really not. No one here is living large. I mean, it's not a high profit margin game right now, especially at my price point.
Yeah. No, and I can definitely see that. I mean, just the clasp alone, I could only imagine. Because like
Oh yeah,
I,
I
well,
had.
I was not to cut you off, but like on my little deal, it was $10 per dial. And you're talking about a little thin ass piece of metal. The only thing that was different was the little fucking indices that they're going to put on it glow a different color. Fucking, I
Mhm.
mean, it's really the only damn difference. So, I mean, just the clasp alone, much less you went with basically a different bracelet. It's all brushed, it's milled, yeah. That probably damn near alone pushed it up almost $100 per watch.
It's funny because like you can't, like, even at full retail of those watches, like what they publish on their website. I mean, there's the difference between Ali and what's on their website. Their website they're going for I think 139.99.
Yeah.
That's lower than my cost per watch. So like my cost per watch is higher than what they're selling for retail. So, you're like, oh, I can get this on blah blah for 90 some bucks. It's like, good, go for it. It doesn't have half the crap that I have on mine. But I think one of the other things I want to point out is like I wanted to do a bracelet that had set screws in it. I want screws. I want to get rid of the push pins. So on the new Seafair, I did that. I added screws to this. You know what that meant? I had to
Probably
buy
like a
500
$50
of
increase.
I had to
What?
buy 500 of them just to have a set screw because I had to do a custom mold and I had to pay for all of that. So the Seafair, I'm actually losing money on the first batch on because my cost is so high from having to buy a new case mold, the tooling for that, the tooling in the case, the molds for the new bracelets so that they had set screws, the bezels, and the glass and all that stuff. Like that all came out on my inventory. I mean, my inventory cost. So the first batch I'm selling at a loss because I don't want to raise the price on the model, and then the ones after that will actually start to incur some sort of profit. But like it's ridiculous to your point. Like you have to buy at scale and you have to pay the extra cost.
And that's the thing. It's like they're trying to like strong arm you into doing batches of 1,000 or 10,000.
Yeah,
It's like they
they
are
want
not
you to get
trying to
there
hear
because
shit,
yeah.
or at least like yeah. Everything. Whenever I was talking to them, they're like, do 100, do 1,000, do 10,000. It was never let me do 30 or
Yeah,
whatever. They just we will, but you're an asshole.
it's. I mean, they are mass producers, so they expect large orders. from an economic standpoint, it doesn't make sense for them to spin up their machines for 10 watches. Like the cost from the factory is too high. The contribution margins are too high when you have to pay workers for 10 watches. So I get where they're coming from, but with that said, it makes it very difficult to get into, hey, here's an entirely brand new watch that no one's ever seen before for $200. Like that's, unless you have like large financial backing, or at least you have a really good size, savings, you're gonna have to eat it.
Oh yeah, man. Well, not only that, but I would have a real hard time doing super large batches like that, just because I know that sometimes the quality control can get out of,
Yeah.
like just out of hand. Yeah, like that's beautiful. And see, like I'm not much of a butterfly clasp guy, but I have actually found 2 or 3 here recently that fit nice, and that is a super nice milled clasp. So yeah, I mean,
yeah, the Seafair is kind of like our Planet Ocean in some ways. It's like it has a really good wrist presence. It's got some good weight to it. I mean, it's a tool watch in the aspect that you can just wear this thing every day and beat the crap out of it. Yeah, so that's one of the ones that I've been wearing the most lately.
Yeah, and GMT. Let me see that one again, because that one's one of the ones that I'm the most interested in. I like a good GMT watch, and especially on a Jubilee bracelet or a good 5-link.
Yeah. We do this in silver like this. We also offer it in black. The thing with the GMT watch that this was one of the first watches where we went like fully custom as well. One of the things that I did here, which Omega fans may recognize, is I added a step dial to it, which is going to be very hard to show in this video, unfortunately. But it's got a bit of a step to it, and that I had just got my Speedmaster, and I wanted to bring some of that to this. But yeah, this is a great watch as well, sapphire crystal. It has
Is that bidirectional or unidirectional bezel?
The bezel on this is unidirectional. To do bidirectional, going back to our cost discussion, would have been 500 watches that I would have had to buy of this in order to support that. So these are unidirectional right now. The next version of this, God willing, will have bidirectional.
I hear that.
But
and see that
said, the bezel action on this, it's pretty good. So you're going to get precise time with this one. And one of the other things that I really pride with the brand is that all of these watches have tremendous lume. You'll see my posts on Instagram about them, but like all of them are very bright. And the clasp on this one is very similar, Dean. It's got the butterfly clasp with the Jubilee. You can see the exhibition case back with the custom rotor. There you go.
Well, John, Remy, if you want to see the Seafarer in the sun, I think we can get you some pictures of that later on Instagram. You can follow La Touraine over there on Instagram. I don't think neither one of our cameras has got a long enough cord to go run outside real fast.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I'm on my laptop in the house, but under sunlight, it's really nice because you can see the waves that are cut into the dial. And I posted up a couple of photos of the dial on Instagram now, but one of them shows just how prominent those waves are cut into it. So you can really see the different effect of that.
Yeah.
And Clayton would know better than
one of my big things on a watch.
Was that?
I said lume is definitely one of my big things on a watch. Like I don't know, if it doesn't glow real good, it turns me off so bad.
Yeah.
That's one thing I will
say. That's one thing I will say is the lume on my watches it's actually better than the lume on my Omegas.
Oh wow, really?
It's kind of embarrassing, honestly.
Like no shit.
The Speedmaster lume is not very strong, and the bezel isn't. The bezel's aluminum, so there's nothing on the bezel. And then the Planet Ocean, once again, it's aluminum bezel or a ceramic bezel, but it doesn't have lume on it. So, yeah, the lume on the GMT and the Voyager in particular are much brighter.
Yeah,
Subnautica too. Subnautica's got crazy good lume. especially that
Well,
full moon dial.
well, like for me, the one homages that I heard all good things about, and there's lots of videos popped up when I originally started looking, was the Invicta 8926OB, and I actually really like that watch. And again, that's one that's right around that the Maritimer price range, and the biggest complaint I had about that watch was the lume. The lume and the indices on that thing, because it had an NH35A, it had the see-through case back, but the only problem with that was they use like a dome one, so it sits higher on your wrist. Uh, but the lume sucked so bad.
Yeah.
Like it pushed me straight to go finding another brand. I'm like, man, I don't care that I like the rest of this watch this much. And like the idea of modding it was, I don't know, like it didn't completely turn me off, but I wasn't as confident as I am now. Like now I'll swap some dials and hands, in kind of a heartbeat. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's basically it pushed me right off of that brand. It's like, you know what, fuck these guys. Let me go find something else that does glow in the dark good, and yeah, I mean, once you get some Seiko or something with some decent stand power, something with some real good BGW9,
Yeah.
it's a wrap.
Yeah, we use a mix of BGW9 as well as C3. We tend to do 8 to 9 coats of it. Subnautica has a full lume dial that I think is done in C3. It's just so bright. So bright.
That one glows like the whole room.
Yeah, it's like a torch, man. You could light up
Yeah.
you find your way on stairs at night with that thing. It's exceeded my expectations of what lume is possible, frankly. But the Voyagers, I took a photo of the Voyager. I mean, not the Voyager. I'm sorry, the Seafarer. Seafarer up against the skyline of Charlotte here. Pitch black room, and the contrast between of brightness was really fun to see. I posted that on Instagram.
Well, and like talking about that, you have what, the white dial, the blue dial, and isn't there like a third color dial on the Subnautica?
Yeah, Subnautica. It's Elliot's favorite watch, and I think it's Clayton's favorite watch too. The Subnautica we have with a blue dial, a white dial, a black dial, and a pistachio like mint green dial.
Oh, okay.
And we just wanted to bring different colorways to this watch because there's really little to improve on it, frankly. So we just want to keep that one around for anyone who has a different preference.
I hear that. And I mean, like, green's one of them hard colors. Like, the first time I saw a green watch, I was like, "Oh, that is so cool because it's different," and I like that because I want to be different. And then, oh, well, that actually looks good as fuck.
Yeah, what I really like about this green is that if you look at it in the light, like it's probably hard to see on camera, but maybe there you go. You can see how the sunburst effect of it kind of just takes away from. Yeah, this was when these came in. My wife was like, "Can I have one?" And I'm like, "Sure, if you want." But yeah, this was actually something that Elliot and I were working on. He was like, "You need to get a green dial." And I'm like, "I hadn't even thought about doing a green dial." And he was saying, "No, you should do one." So started to look at different greens that were available, and this one has kind of like a golden aspect to it that really makes it pop on your wrist. It's one of my favorites.
Well, it actually makes the hands stand out really good, especially like right there on camera. I mean, the hands are just popping at me, but like that looks military as fuck. Like that looks like some shit that needs to be on a bunch of army dudes' wrists.
Yeah, I mean, they have G-Shocks, man, but yeah.
Well, I do.
Here's the clasp, Dean. This has 6 positions of micro adjustment as well, so you can really fine tune this. On this one, I don't know if it'll pick up on the camera, but I've actually moved in the micro adjust one hole just so that it fits on my wrist just a little bit better. And it's an NH35. Yep. All of our automatics are now NH35 with the exception of the GMT, which uses the NH34.
Yeah, Dean, like I said, that one there, I've actually had that one in my hands. I do like the way that is and the way the watch actually sits and fits and all that stuff. You know, it feels much better um, than the Addie's Dive. The Addie's Dive, the bracelet has very kind of jagged, sharp edges, and you know,
Yeah, we had it
it does
polished.
not feel super great.
Yeah, we had it polished quite a bit. Yeah, Dean, I agree. Like that adjustable clasp, I want to add to the Seafarer and the Voyager GMT in the future. But going back to the manufacturing cost behind that, they actually have to do a new mold to make it, since it's a different manufacturer than the Subnautica. So with the Subnautica, they had one in house that I could pull from, pay extra for, but pull from. With Seafarer and Voyager, I actually have to have them like do a custom mold and build one. So that's coming, but it's not quite ready yet. So in the meantime, we've had the butterfly class, which holds on pretty well. And John, yeah, Elliot and myself are big fans of NH movement. We used the Miota 8215 in the first version of Seafarer, and that has not worked out well for us. We've had to service, I think, 3 of them now, whereas the NH they just run.
And what do you like? What do you think about the Miata movements?
The 8215 that we had, I think, it's been around since the 1980s. It's a workhorse movement when it works. We weren't able to get the accuracy out of it like we can with an NH35 when we're regulating it. It's just not quite there. It varies a little bit more based on wrist position than the NH35 does. And like I said, we have had issues with needing to have them serviced more than we've had with the NH35. So, I have a very limited window of experience. So I'm not by far saying like I'm the expert on like, Mito is not as good as Seiko or anything like that. I just know that in our limited experience, it didn't work out for us as well as the Seiko has.
I think Seiko's got that kind of reputation for having the more reliable type movement because I mean, like I see watches that offer the Miota, but it's hands down like I don't know, like Toyota versus Honda kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It just you know like Toyotas are very reliable, but the Hondas got that reputation, and it just you know yeah
Yeah.
that's
Um,
where everybody goes
I
with.
Yeah, I agree. I think I wouldn't speak poorly of Miota. It's just like I said, in our limited experience with the 8215, it just wasn't as good as the NH35.
So Modern Time says he did everything to get you to ditch the 8,000s. What about the 9,000 movements? Like
We've
what
looked
is
at
that?
those, and Elliot and I have gone back on movement choices quite a bit. And yeah, he definitely pushed me away from the 8,000, but also like we were having to service them too, so it was in my face. Like it wasn't just preference; it really did make a difference from what we saw. We have looked at the 9,000. The 9,000 for me has been like we could price it higher if it had 9,000. We would have a smoother sweeping second hand with the 9,000. But the cost would almost triple in some cases from the movement cost. And we might do something with it later this year, without giving away what some of our plans are. But I'm also looking at Salida because once you're starting to get in some of those price ranges, like I'm looking at Salida as well.
Well, and see, not just my little 2 cents. I would go with the PT 5000. I personally like
Elliot's
that.
mentioned that too. Yeah.
I love the PT 5000 because all it is a fucking SW 200 made in China. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many numerous watches with them, and they run fucking within cost spec.
Mm-hmm.
They're not regular. I mean, I haven't done nothing with them.
Yeah.
It's just I get them, I wear them, I beat the shit out of them, and yeah, they definitely get the Mister E seal of approval because the majority of my watches from AliExpress have the PT 5000, and I wear them full send when I'm at work because like
Mm-hmm.
if it's under a $200 watch, I kind of consider it a throwaway watch, and I'm not trying to be
Yeah.
like, oh, I got money like that, but being a mechanic, I buy $500 socket sets, got 5 sockets in it that I got the nut stuck in it. I'm going to bash it with a hammer. You know what I'm saying? So like my mentality on tools and tool watches and things like that is slightly different. You know what I mean? Like, you know, any watch under $300 is kind of, it's a disposable watch. You know, you don't pay to fix it, because to pay to fix it would cost you as much as a new one. So
unless you have 3-year warranty underneath La Touraine.
but well, then there you go. Yeah, but I don't think you would be covering the shit that I'm talking about.
No, probably
You know
not.
I mean? You know, no.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, if you just being fair, like, okay, warranty is for manufacturer defects, guys, not for
yeah.
you're a mechanic
If
and
you
you
hit it
done
with a
fucking slip
hammer,
right up against this shit. And,
you know, I was thinking about like doing like one of those TikTok videos of like running over one of my watches with like a car. But yeah, that wouldn't want people to think that that's covered in warranty.
yeah, I mean that, like, because that, to me, that would kind of set a precedent. Like if you did it, I'm like, well, I got run over, my arm got ran over by a car and the watch was on, and you know, yeah, my arm's all broken and stuff, but I'd like a new watch, please.
I wouldn't be wearing the watch, but
Yeah, well, you know, you're gonna have to wear it on the other hand now, but you know,
I wear it on my bad hand. Well,
all right. So Modern Time says he says issues is with marketing on the PT5000. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I think a lot of people are really coming around and they fully understand, like real watch people fully understand what the PT5000 actually is, and they're all like, you know what? It works as good. It fucking does as good. It lasts as long, and it's fucking $60. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
you know, I'm sorry, but to me, it's worth the extra little $30 to $50 price difference in the watch. Like, you know, if the Subnautica had to go to this full retail price of 300 for a high beat movement, man, that'd be totally worth it to me. You know, I mean, just for my own personal, like, that's how I would view that. I'd be like, hell yeah! Like, if I had, you know, oh, I get the NH35 for 250, or I could get this one for 300, I would totally go the $300 route.
And I think that's something that we're looking at. Like, if you've seen some of the Instagram photos, Elliot's been trying out different things with the Subnautica. You know, more to come. We're not going to just offer the NH35 as the only automatic, and we're going to have more in the future that I can talk about later. And Elliot's right. Like, well, I'll give you a story though. We had a Maritimer customer. I shipped the Maritimers with the crown out so that it's not draining the battery life. We had a customer that didn't realize that you have to screw that crown back in. They went swimming with it. So the watch was completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Wanted it covered underneath warranty. So me being the nice guy I am, I shipped them a new watch. I didn't send that watch to Elliot to have it fixed. But that's the only time I've had a customer do something where you just scratch your head a little bit. Most are pretty good.
Well, see, okay, in that instance specifically, Dave, I would put a little card in on top of the watch after that, and make sure that don't ever happen again. Like,
I started to write, you know, screw down the clasp before swimming on these cards, because yeah, you just never know.
Well, and see, that's the thing, because some people don't know. You know what I mean? And like, I'm not trying to judge, because again, 2 years ago, I didn't own any watches and I didn't know dick about a screw down crown. And it wasn't until I watched a couple of videos like, oh, I want a screw down crown.
I had assumed that they would figure it out when the watch wasn't running and the date was wrong, that they would want to reset everything. I assumed that they would figure that out, but you know, not everybody knows.
Over or to me. You like the new bezels, Ken? You say Kendretta's real name is what?
Clayton.
Clayton. So you like the new bezels on the new Subnauticas? They're Clayton. I have to agree. It was much better than the Addie's Dive, and the Addie's Dive had a shit ton of play. Like, I was not happy with that at all.
I was surprised how bad it was. Honestly, I was surprised by your video. I didn't think that the Addie's Dive would be that bad. So, I mean, good for me, I guess, but I was expecting a higher quality than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's why I really wanted just to do the video and like not jump to conclusions on anything. Just like let's put the shit here. Let's check it. Let's
Yeah.
just see. 'Cause I'm a
And
hands-on guy.
so, just so the audience knows, like, I shipped this to him, like, hoping that what I paid for was actually true. Because, like I said, I'm texting them, I'm saying we're working on mock-ups together, and I'm paying for it, but I have no idea, like, because this is actually going to happen all the time. So him having that third-party review was also me, like, fingers crossed that what I paid for actually was delivered. So it was good from that aspect. But yeah, we had no idea I had no idea what we were walking into. No money exchanged hands. There were no favors. It was really just took one off the shelf, sent it right in.
And all that's true, you guys. I didn't, it was my idea to boot. It wasn't like I was asked to do it. I was just, I
Nope.
come up with the idea of like, hey, I think we should do this and clear the air and just that way, for yourself if nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a huge difference, like night and day, very clear, at least to me, anyways. You know what I'm saying? It was, very very different.
Yeah. I was happy to see it. I mean, obviously. It also gave me renewed faith that what I was buying was, what I expected.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time and everything, sir.
Anytime.
We'll have to do this again. Everybody, thank y'all for coming and watching and hanging out with us and asking Dave questions and all that good jazz. Um, you know, please like, subscribe, maybe join the memberships, all that kind of good shit. And go over to TouraineWatches.com and check out, Dave and all he has to offer. He does sell other stuff other than watches. Because you got sunglasses and like some bracelets and other stuff too.
Yeah, we have watch cases too if you need a place to put your
Okay.
watches when you're traveling.
Awesome. And you can also find him over on Instagram. So please go over there, check him out, maybe give him a like and a follow and all that good jazz. Let's see, you need an artsy luxury background. I will work on that. I'm not exactly sure what an artsy luxury background is, but Underachiever will work on that. And Dave, thank you again. I appreciate it. You have a good day, okay, bud?
Will do. And thank you everyone for tuning in. And if you ever have any questions, I'm available by email through the website. It's me answering all those emails. So if you ever need any questions or need any help, just feel free to reach out and contact me directly. Thank you, everybody. It's nice to meet everybody.
And all right, John says, don't forget him when he orders his watch.
I won't. I don't forget any of my customers. Have a good day.
All right, take it easy, bud. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.